And welcome back to my channel. Unless you're new here, and just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is me channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And welcome to my celebration of my favorite movies of 2023, my favorite horror movies of 2023. This award ceremony is brought to you by me. I am totally responsible for all of its content. Whether you like it or not, it's all mine. And first I want to start with a disclaimer. There's always a disclaimer with me, isn't there? I wonder what's up with that. But I noticed as I went around, looking at people's top lists, which, I value their opinion, and seeing who liked what and who hated what and what I agreed with and what I didn't agree with, and I saw plenty of that, and that's what I expect from you as well. Diversity is the key, to our community, to the horror community. You will not agree with some of mine. Hopefully you'll agree with one or two of them in any event. But the disclaimer is that while I was going around and looking at those, a bunch of different top lists, something really came to light that I had been thinking about over probably the past few months. And that was that, a lot of people had things on their list that I have no access to. And I thought, I kind of felt inside like you had just wasted my time. Telling me how great this movie was, and what you liked about it, how great it was, and how, in your opinion, this movie is the sixth best horror movie in 2023. And I'm like, yeah, but, I don't pay for Hulu. So how can I verify that? And how can the general horror community verify that what you're saying is accurate when it's not available to the general horror community? It's only available to a very small subset who happen to pay for Hulu, or Amazon Prime, or Peacock, or Netflix, or whatever the fucking thing was made off of. So, I didn't really want to do that. I don't want to sit here and tell you movies that I know you may probably not have access to because I don't pay for any streaming services. So, I guess you could count Tubi originals, maybe, because they're free if you want to watch commercials. I suppose you could consider them, But, yeah, that's the way I felt about it. So, I have made come to the conclusion that no more will I spotlight films that are not available to the general horror public, to the general horror community, because you have no way to judge my taste if you have no way to see the movies that I'm talking about. I am certainly not going to ask you, hey, this is the second best movie of 2023. If you want to see it, though, I'm not advertising for Amazon Prime. Okay? And I'm not going to tell you, this is the best damn thing I've seen. You need to go shell out some money, man, and get Amazon Prime so you can see it. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to shill for any streaming service. So I'm not going to spotlight or tell you when you have no way to verify what I'm saying is true. And that's the way I felt, A lot of the movies that people had were available, and I could agree with because I've got them too. But there was, lots of stuff that I was just like, I have no way of seeing that, man. I'm not going to see Amazon Prime. How can I judge whether, you say it's the second best horror movie made in 2023, but I've got no way to prove that, and I don't know any friends of mine that happen to be able to prove that. So, I don't know. So, to me, I've just decided to, if the movie if the movie does not have a physical release or an official announced physical release date, it is disqualified and it is ineligible to be on any spotlight lists of mine. Because if they're not willing to put their film under the scrutiny of the entire general horror community, then I'm not going to sit here and tell people that they have to go and buy a streaming service to get to see this film. I'm not going to waste your time doing that. So, in light of that, there may be movies that you see on other people's horror lists that you are kind of wondering, I thought you would like that. Why is it on yours? I may indeed like it, but then again, I know how to go and use download services or go to shady websites or BitChute or any place, I can buy a bootleg, but that's not making it available to the general horror public. Because a lot of people don't know how to do that or want to do that. And so, yeah. So that's my disclaimer. If you see anything missing that you kind of assumed would be on my list, it might have been. But it has no physical release. It is not available to the general public. And I am not going to shill for a streaming service or anything and tell someone if they want to see whether I'm right or not, they have to go shell out some money. I don't mind doing that if what I'm telling you to do is go and buy it. You can go and buy it. But if it's not available to the general public, then I'm not going to consider it for my list. So, there you go. We are going to start off with some honorable mentions. And I've got 8 of them. No, 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 of them. And we'll start off with the controversial ones. Honorable mention for 2023. Winnie the Pooh. Blood and Honey. Please, don't tell me you're surprised. If you're surprised, you haven't been paying attention. You're listening to a person who thinks that Girlfriend from Hell, Terror Firmer, The Nail Gun Massacre, Gutterballs, Cocaine Bear, I think they're masterpieces of schlock. Why the fuck wouldn't I like Winnie the Pooh, man? I liked Winnie the Pooh. I like the backstory of Winnie the Pooh. I've done an entire video on it if you want to know the details of why I like it. But yes, Winnie the Pooh gets an honorable mention. It's sitting at the top of almost everybody's top list, and I understand that. But I like Winnie the Pooh. And it gets an honorable mention in my best of 2023 just for the fucking hell of it. Just to irritate you. No, not really. Just because I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I laughed my ass off. It was funny. My next controversial honorable mention will be The Outwaters. If you had any idea how much I had to pay for that motherfucker. Released, I don't know how a sub-company of Vinegar Syndrome got a hold of a brand new movie. Usually, they like reissue stuff, but I don't know how they got a hold of Outwaters, but they did. This is made by, as you can tell, the typical Vinegar Syndrome stuff. It's got a really cool booklet in it. It's released by an off company of Vinegar Syndrome, one of their little subsidiaries. But this is The Outwaters. Now, it's controversial because a lot of people are like, what the fuck, man? I couldn't tell what was going on. And I'm like, oh, really? Damn, you must have never seen the Blair Witch Project, huh? This movie reminds me a lot of the Blair Witch Project. So if you didn't like the Blair Witch Project, you probably won't like this. But it is a found footage movie, and it is extremely strange, especially the second, or, well, yeah, the third half, or the third half. The third part of the movie, It's very, very Blair Witch. It starts out very normal, and then I guess what, like 40 minutes in, 45 minutes in, the shit starts getting like really Blair Witchy. You know, like flashlights, and it's in the dark and stuff like that, and all. But you know, at the same time, well, you can see the pictures. You know, there's lots of the movie that's like normal, but there's a lot of Blair Witch, in my opinion, in this movie. Very psychotronic, very cool. And if you think that it's not like, well, you know, if you don't mind seeing a guy cut his own dick off and play with it in the sand, then, you know, yeah, because that happens in this movie. So we have The Outwaters, one of my honorable mentions. Love it. This is a really cool movie called Unwelcome. I like to call it my rated R version of a Gremlins type movie. You know, the Ghoulies, Gremlins, something like that. But I absolutely loved Unwelcome. I think it's very cool, very interesting. I love the little troll creature things. They're really cool. We have a creature feature called The Tank. I really enjoyed this movie. I liked the creature in it, what you saw of it. I liked the synopsis. I liked the story. So yes, The Tank gets an honorable mention from me. A very cool movie. And we have Infinity Pool. Really? Only an honorable mention for Infinity Pool? Yeah, only an honorable mention for Infinity Pool. A lot of it has to do with this shitty ass release. No DVD, no digital, nothing. Just like they want you to pay $25. So the company like who released this really sucked as far as their physical went. But I loved this movie. It was really cool. Really liked it. So there you have the honorable mentions, except for a final one, which I do not have yet, so I can't hold it up for you. Two of them, actually. And that is Thanksgiving. Now you're like, well, why is Thanksgiving only an honorable mention? Well, Thanksgiving is only an honorable mention because I only saw it that once. It hasn't come out. It does have an official physical release date, so that's cool. So it does count. And I need to digest it more. I need thoughts. And I definitely want to see it like 10 more times. So I absolutely loved Thanksgiving. And it is on my honorable mention list. And who knows, once I do have it in my hands when it's released and I'm able to watch it, I'll be like, damn, that should have been number whatever in my top list. But that's what you get for releasing shit at the end of November, right? You know, and you don't release the physical until what, February? My last honorable mention is very controversial. I'll start by saying that, look, this was a 2+ hour movie, at least 2-hour movie, that was cut down to 86 minutes, and there is your biggest problem right there. There was no character development. I was so disappointed because the story was so good. But so much of the story was missing, and that was Pet Sematary Bloodlines. I'll wait for you to get up off the floor. I know several people fainted right then. But I loved Pet Sematary Bloodlines, but I had to make up half the fucking story myself because you cut all the shit out. Now that's because it wasn't made by a studio. It was made by them stupid fucking streaming services. So they took this wonderful story, and I'll give you a little hint because when I get it, and I will be getting it, it does have a physical release date. No, it just came out last week. When I do have it, I will do a video on it to explain everything further. But I'll hit the major points here. You had fucking Foxy Brown in the movie, and that's all you did with her? Really? What was the relationship between those three boys? the three friends with the kids. And they came up. They grew up. Judd and Timmy and the other guy who seemed to be in love with him. I mean, he seemed genuinely devastated and hurt that Judd was leaving. I think he was in love with him. But you didn't get enough of the story to know. What is the relationship between these? You did no character building. They were friends. They were lifelong childhood friends. You show, what, 2 flashbacks? 2 10-second flashbacks? And that's supposed to make us understand how they care about each other? Now, what about when they went back in time and showed you the original, where the little, the cavalry and shit, and it got 8 and stuff like that? Come on, man. That was a 15-minute spot you cut down to 3 minutes. What the fuck? Timmy. The character Timmy. That motherfucker creeped me out. You understand? Whenever Timmy was on the screen, I felt afraid. The way he moved, the way he shuffled, the look on his face, the way he spoke. He's like one of my favorite villains that came out in 2023. I mean, I just loved everything about how uncomfortable he made me. So, if this movie had been given another 30 minutes and they filled in all of that stuff that they should have filled in. First of all, let me say I was extremely freaked out to see fucking little Henry Thomas from E.T. playing a fucking middle-aged father. That was weird. That was just weird. But it just seemed unnatural. But aside from that, there was so much of this movie missing, and I feel so sorry for the movie itself. The actors, David Duchovny, they really needed to show us more of the relationship between him and his son to show why he went to the extent that he did. This town that protected this secret, it was all so fertile. You know what I mean? There was so much fertile ground for you to make a 2-hour and 10-minute fantastic horror movie. But instead, they cut it down to where you have to fill in most of the shit yourself, and that's a real shame. But it still gets. But because of the parts that it did have, and the potential that it did have, it did make my honorable mentions list, because I so wish that somebody had done it right and not cut it down to 86 minutes. Left so much of this long story without any background, without any character development. It was just very sad. So I'm going to stop harping on that, and we're going to move on to the actual top list. At number 10, the 10th best movie to me released in 2023 is Cocaine Bear. I fucking loved Cocaine Bear. Elizabeth Banks, oh my god, you were just like too much. I can't believe. I loved the cast. I laughed my ass off. Some of the shit was really gross. No, I'm sorry, a lot of the shit was really gross. This movie just fucking worked for me. Then again, like I said, you're talking to a person who will watch Nail Gun Massacre like it's fucking Citizen Kane. But I loved Cocaine Bear. And it is number 10 on my top list. And I'm so sorry if that bothers you. No, I'm really not. At number 9, coming in at number 9, we have Scream 6. I am not a Scream hater. I guess I am kind of sort of like a Scream fanboy. Not a super one, but I'm one. I like Scream. I like all of the Screams. You know, the original is my favorite. Number 3 is my second favorite. Shit, this dude's crazy. Yep. But I really enjoyed Scream 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. But I really liked Scream 6. As far as this new controversy with Scream 7, number 1, I'm glad they kicked the bitch to the curb. That bitch who said all that shit. I'm glad that they kicked her to the curb. As far as Jenny Ortega, isn't she the other one? Unless I've got the name wrong. Shows you how much I pay attention, because I really don't give a shit. But she's, and, you know, people are like, yeah, well, she left, you know, in support of that other bitch. And I'm like, no, she didn't. She had already announced her thing. She was already in conflict with Wednesday, which I don't care for that show. But that Wednesday show, she was already not going to be able to do Scream 7. Everybody already knew that, so I don't know why you're trying to make her out to be taking up for the bitch that ran her mouth. But as far as the controversy itself, look, dudes, just get a couple of dark-haired girls and replace them. I don't give a fuck, and neither does the majority of people that are into Scream. We don't care. Make a good movie. You know, make something new. Continue the story. Just replace those two bitches with somebody else. I don't give a fuck, to tell you the truth. As long as it's okay. As long as it is a good little slasher Scream clone, I really don't care. I really don't care. It's a popcorn Wednesday night. I don't care. You can replace those two girls with two dark-haired girls. Give them the same name. I don't give a shit. And as far as the pussy director who went running because, oh, it's too much controversy, I'm like, grow a pair of balls. My God. Who gives a shit? And at number 8, we have Socks, or better known as Saw X, aka Saw 10. I really loved Saw X. I was really glad to see it go back to the beginning, you know, style-wise, 1 and 2, because I really don't give a shit for 3 and 8. 3 through 8 is like alright, but I have to spend too much time looking at the wall instead of the film, you know. I really liked Saw X. I wish they hadn't, like, spoiled it, though, by letting you know what was going on in the trailer. So you have to be careful watching trailers. But I really, really loved Saw X. And, or let's just call it Socks. I like Socks. So, that is number 8 on my list. I think it went back to a really good place as far as the style and the filmmaking went. So, yes, Saw X. Oh. Number 7, we have Knock at the Cabin by M. Night Shyamalan. Now, M. Night Shyamalan, if I didn't know the whole story, I'd be angry with you. I really liked Knock at the Cabin. It was new, it was unique, it was very interesting. I had read the book, so I was very, very upset with you for a little bit. I will be doing a video on this where I will explain in a lot more detail, but basically, if you've watched this movie, then just understand the scene where Andrew and Leonard fight over the gun in the bathroom, you know, at the door of the bathroom. Everything up to that point is exactly like the book. Everything after that point is completely different. That upset me a great deal because of the reason that they did it. Now, M. Night Shyamalan and the screenwriter did not want to, but the investors made them. And I'm like, well, who the fuck is your investors? The Salvation Army? I mean, what the fuck? You know why? They changed the ending of this movie from the original ending. They changed it because the investors said, we're not going to give you the money because the public is not going to like that little girl getting killed, a child getting killed. And I thought, excuse me? What? It's a fucking horror movie, number one. Number two, I'm assuming you've never seen Children of the Corn? Linda Hamilton flats that little motherfucker in the road? You've never seen The Devil Times 5? You've never seen The Boy 2015? Not the puppet one, the one in the motel where that little boy fucking burns up that entire high school class? Emulate some. Screaming nasty. What do you mean the horror public won't stand for kids being killed? What? That made absolutely no sense to me. So that and also I think that this new ending, which they said, well, the new ending is not as dark. I'm like, you've got a girl that's going to have to live the rest of her life knowing that her and her daddy killed her daddy. For the rest of their lives. He murdered his husband. You think that that's not dark? Now, if you haven't read the book, basically what it is that at that point where they had the gunfight in the bathroom door, Leonard caused the little girl to get shot by the gun and she died. And the two guys, Eric and Andrew, held to what they had said through the entire movie, and that is that we're not buying your shit. We are not going to fall for the bullshit of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and the world can burn rather than us hurt one of our family. And that's exactly what they did in the book. Leonard cuts his throat, the apocalypse happens, they walk out the door to face whatever they're going to face. It's okay. Have you ever seen Doomsday? You ever seen The Hunger Games? Have you ever seen all this shit? People lived through the apocalypse. I'm sure that'd have been fine. But the point is, the investors said, no. You can't do it like the book. It's too, you can't have the little kid getting killed. Horror movies, no. Horror community's not going to accept that. I'm like, I don't know what kind of fucking horror movies you've ever seen. Horror movies that I've seen, kids get knocked off left and fucking right. Have you ever seen Stephen King's It, you dumb motherfuckers? He fucking ate Jordy's arm off and he bled to death slowly in the street. But you can't see this little girl get shot by this psycho Leonard? Number 7. Knock at the Cabin. I just put my memory of the ending of the book onto the ending of this movie and we're fine. They should have done like 2012. You know, that movie with John Cusack? They should have done like that. Because, you know, if you buy the Blu-ray or the 4K of 2012, I've got the 4K set. Yeah, whatever it is. Anyway, if you buy the Blu-ray of the 2012, you know they cinematically filmed an entirely different ending. And I prefer it a great deal, but it's right there. I can watch the movie, then I can watch that ending, and I'm satisfied. They should have done that with Knock at the Cabin. They should have filmed the real ending and then stuck it as an extra on the Blu-ray so that people who actually wanted to see the real story could have seen it instead of that sacrificial, pathetic being of light redemption bullshit at the end, which did not occur in the book. At number 6, we have The Pope's Exorcist. I loved The Pope's Exorcist. I think Russell Crowe was fantastic. His character reminded me a lot of Gene Hackman in The Poseidon Adventure, you know? Kind of mouthy priest, which is exactly what Gene Hackman was in The Poseidon Adventure. So yeah, I really had fun with this movie. I liked the effects. I liked his character. I'm glad they're making a sequel. And I think it was a really well done little movie. And I had fun with it. I nearly jumped out of my chair at the beginning, you know, when he shot that hog. That scared the fuck out of me. But I like the little possessed boy. I like the demon. I like the way he acted towards the other cardinals and stuff. His character. I really liked this movie. I really had fun with this movie, and it's number 6 on my list. Russell Crowe in The Pope's Exorcist. At number 5, we have Megan, the uncut. Let's be specific. The uncut version, not the theatrical version, the uncut of Megan on this Blu-ray is number 5 to me. I absolutely had an absolute blast with this movie. The theatrical, of course, I have never seen again and never would see again. As soon as I got this and watched the uncut, which made the kills, what kills are in it, it made them good kills. Whereas before it's just like, that looks all cut up. Because it was all cut up. The uncut version puts it back, and I really love this movie. So, yes, Megan is number 5. The uncut Megan, the unrated edition, not the theatrical edition. It is number 5 on my list. I need to stop talking so much. At number 4, I heard that. At number 4, we have The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I really, really loved this movie. I thought it was great. I'm like, you really made a cool movie out of one little fucking chapter of a book. How cool is that? You know what I'm saying? It's like taking War and Peace and taking 30 pages of it and making an epic. I thought that was pretty cool. But I really liked it. I liked the cast. I loved the atmosphere that this movie had. I was like really, really upset that they killed the boy, and we'll talk about him again here in a minute because he did something really cool. But The Last Voyage of the Demeter, I loved them. Lestat isn't on this boat, and neither. Well, Gary Oldman's Dracula, he could be vicious. He had his vicious side. And then you've got like Lestat and Louis and, fluffy little fairy vampires, which I love them too. And then you've got Gary Oldman, who was kind of like in between. And then you've got Nosferatu and 30 Days of Night, the real vicious ones. And so it was cool to see a vicious. This motherfucker didn't have much to say. He just had a lot to slash. But I really loved this movie. I was devastated when the little kid got killed. And then he turned as they were trying to put him over the butt. Oh yeah, it was just horrible. It was just like a great, great, great movie. Nice length. I think it's an hour and 50 minutes. So it's like a wonderful time. You know me, I do not have Twitter syndrome. I like my movies to have time to tell a story. Unlike Pet Sematary Bloodlines. Almost 2 hours. You couldn't have made Pet Sematary Bloodlines 2 hours so that you could tell the fucking story? Anyway, now I need to have some nicotine. Number 3, we have Evil Dead Rise. As shocking as that may be, and I have still awaited quite often the mob with pitchforks to come to my house and burn me up like Frankenstein. Because although I like the original Evil Dead, I don't really give a shit too much about number 2. And I fucking hate number 3. And I can't stand Ash vs. the Evil Dead TV series. Evil Dead to me really is the original 2013, and this. Deal with it. It's all right. You will be okay. Go get some milk. You'll be okay. I loved Evil Dead Rise. I think it scared the shit out of me. I loved it. It was gross. It was gory. I liked the dude in it. I liked the cast. I liked the mother and the dude, her son, and the girl, her daughter. I liked it all. So, yeah, it was a great movie. I really loved The Evil Dead. I think it did the reboot justice. I think it did the reboot direction that The Evil Dead should be justice. Evil Dead Rise, number 3 on my list. 3, not tree. Now we have number 2. It was very disappointing that this movie was released the same week as Oppenbarbie or Barbieheimer or whatever the fuck they were calling that, because you know what? I've still yet to see Barbie because I'm still not a 13-year-old girl. I have not seen Barbie. And although I don't even know what Barbie's about. I've wondered that. If you know what Barbie's about, can you tell me in the comments? I'm assuming, is it just the day in the life of Barbie in her beach house? Is there like a mystery? Is it like Scooby-Doo? What is Barbie about? What is Barbie and Ken doing in Barbie? That's what I'd like to know. But in any event, I'm not a 13-year-old girl, so I mean, I'm just not really that interested. And Oppenheimer, I have it on my buy list. I'm sure I'll like it. It's not super my thing. I haven't ran out going slobbering over it like I did, movies I want. But I mean, I'll get it. I'm sure I'll like it. It'll be all right. It's just not. I just don't go running for it. But I hated the fact that this was released in the same week because it got really overshadowed. And the second best movie of 2023 is Cobweb. Now, Cobweb has an interesting distinction, and that is that the little boy in Cobweb is the little boy in Last Voyage of the Demeter. Did you know that? It's cool, isn't it? He is well on his way. Listen, if you see this, I can't think of his name, little boy. If you see this, you have started a stellar career as a Scream King. Don't do nothing else. Don't go do no stupid Goosebump shit or some crap like that. You stay a Scream King and you will have a good long career. So, Cobweb, I absolutely loved it. The little boy from Demeter is the little boy in Cobweb. I loved the cast. Everything from the teacher, Cleopatra Jones, to, the parents were wonderfully creepy. The thing in the wall shit, that was really cool. Gary Busey's son. Am I repeating myself? Yeah, I did a whole video on this, so you can go and look at my deep thoughts on this movie. But Gary Busey's son, which I didn't know he had a son that young, Jake Busey. Isn't it Jake Busey? Anyway, his son was really cool. Him and his cousins getting cut up in that house was good. It was scary. It was interesting. It kept me wondering what the fuck. At the end, I kept wondering, what the fuck is that thing? Just what the fuck is that? Every time I hear a knock inside my wall or something, like the wind blows or some shit, I'm like, oh hell no. But unlike a big house like that, you can't fit nothing in my walls like that. So that's what keeps me from getting scared. So number 2, best movie of the year, Cobweb. And the number 1, my choice, the crown, the glory, the scepter, the throne. 2023, best horror movie of 2023 goes to Talk to Me. Damn, I was going to put on that Stevie Nicks song and play it for a second. Anyway, it's also the name of one of my favorite Stevie Nicks songs, Talk to Me. But Talk to me. How interesting. I was like, what is this? What is this thing? This thing. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was really, really cool. I was shocked. I was invested. I was engaged. I kept wondering. It had so much imagination fuel. It was great. It was just, I had fun from beginning to end. I loved the ending. I was glad that bitch got killed. You know, because she had turned into a total psycho. Granted, she was tricked by the ghosts. I understand that. But, yeah, there were jump scares. There was spookiness. There was atmosphere. I absolutely loved the way the characters portrayed themselves. When that little boy smashed his own head up, I was just like, what the fuck? You know? Not to mention right off the bat when that boy stabbed himself in the head. But then again, I've done an entire video on this already as well. You can go and look. But yes, that is the number one movie of 2023. Horror movie of 2023 to me is Talk to Me. I'd really like a sequel. I'm sure you could do it. So, and that does it for my finishing up the year. We have honorable mentions, Pet Sematary Bloodlines. You know the reasons why, and I will do it further when I do a video on it when I get it. Thanksgiving. We have Infinity Pool, The Tank, Unwelcome, The Outwaters, and My Pooh Bear. Oh, I just love making you sick. Number 10, Cocaine Bear. Number 9, Scream 6. Number 8, Salks. Or Saw X. Number 7, Knock at the Cabin, even with your shitty fake ending. The Pope's Exorcist is number 6. Megan unrated version is number 5. Last Voyage of the Demeter is number 4. Evil Dead Rise is number 3. Cobweb is number 2. And Talk to Me is number 1. Here's to looking forward to and hoping that 2024 will have a lot better selections, a lot better movies. Like I said, I do love all of these. I consider Cobweb, Talk to Me, Evil Dead Rise, Last Voyage of the Demeter. Those are the only ones that I would like 10 out of 10 spectacular. The rest are just very, very good. I really, really love them. And, 8, 9, 7.5, 8s and 9s, 7s, 8s and 9s, all through there. So yeah, that was the best movies of 2023 as chosen by me and my channel. Drop yours in the comments. Tell me how wrong I am. And I will see you in the next thing. We are going to do my December update, which will completely finish out the year for me. And 2023 will be a fading memory. Love you, miss you, bye. Always remember, never forget, you are a very, very special person. Don't let anyone ever tell you different. And I will see you in just a few. Bye-bye.